Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad. This is a show where we talk about streaming technology every week, right here on Twitch. This is episode 122 on March 6th, 2019. I am Clyde, and today I am joined by Matthew Ross.
Hey guys, 122. We're getting close to the mythical 144, which is one gross.
That is pretty gross.
Getting close.
And Jimmy Trammell, way down in Florida way.
Hello, everyone, in the land where we're still running our air conditioners.
It's 50 degrees outside. Turn on the air conditioner.
Insert alligator rampage joke. You know, they've had all these movies about Sharknadoes. I'm pretty sure at some point there had to have been an alligator hurricane. Where there have been there have been alligators historically that have been sucked up by hurricanes and flung.
A hurrigator.
Yes, allicane.
The allicane sounds like something you put on a rash or something.
or alanator.
There you go.
Al and Nader? No, nobody voted for either of those guys.
Yeah, those are two people that did not win Florida.
No, that's right.
Alanator. Alanator aid, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is the home of Gatorade. That's where the name comes from.
True.
Exactly.
Florida Gators.
Which is, I would say, Gatorade, or the guy that created Gatorade should be the patron saint of alcoholics. There's nothing better than a old school flavored Gatorade when you were super hungover.
I knew people who would actually buy the powder and mix their own Gatorade, but not with very much water. So it's easy strong. Yeah. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. It's March and no sign of spring anytime soon. So,
right as note again.
Although I left work at 5 o'clock yesterday and it wasn't dark, and I went. I had to check my. Oh, did I leave too early? I know I was leaving early, but I didn't. I thought maybe I left a little too early.
Yeah, it's nice. We're getting up and getting out the door, and there's actually light outside. It's not dark when we leave our house right anymore. It's very nice.
So, I am looking forward to, because in the summer here it doesn't get dark until almost 10 o'clock. I kind of like that.
Yeah, the time does change this weekend, right?
Is it this weekend?
It is this weekend.
Oh,
spring forward.
We spring forward.
We lose an hour this weekend.
We lose an hour. You got it.
Yeah, now you just ruined the whole weekend, man.
Well, you know what? Forget it. I'm out. No movie draft for me. I'm just going to be angry. I give up.
I'm so tired because I just got done eating Hawaiian barbecue. We just had a place near us that this is the second time we've had it.
Yeah. I remember when you got it the first time.
So spare ribs and
spam,
and pulled pork, no spam this time, and katsu chicken. And so I just ate all that and came up here to talk with you guys. So if I'm a little tired, some pork poisoning going on in my life, okay. Yeah. Well, I'm doing all right.
All right. Good food. Well, why don't we keep you awake by asking you, what is there to talk about?
Here's a couple of things. We'll start with a story from Disney. Disney wants to buy AT&T's stake in Hulu. Hulu is one of the stakeholders in the Hulu Corporation. It started with Fox and Disney and AT&T, and I think Comcast has some as well. With the acquisition of Fox and the possible selling of the AT&T stake of Hulu to Disney, that would mean that Disney would have a 70% holding of all the stock, and I think the rest of it would well, basically be owned by Comcast. So Hulu, the Disney Channel, coming your way soon.
Well, I mean, that was pretty much what everybody had been speculating was going to happen. Because, I mean, even if they don't buy out AT&T's Warner Holdings, they still will have a majority. It just
That's
won't
right.
be it won't be a monopoly, or they won't be as powerful. You know, I think they'd be at 50%, as opposed to 70. Um, I don't know. Not necessarily a bad thing. Could be
I
depending on how they do it, but my main fear would be that if they get the 70%, would the other participants pull out and say we're done?
No, I don't think they will. I think this is way too good of a deal for all the other participants, because if it does well, which it likely will, because people in the stock market like it to see consolidation,
Mhm.
they'll be along for the ride. So their 20-30% that they have will continue to
Yeah.
grow with the rest of the company. But what I fear is that with that major control of the company and how basically we're hearing Disney talking about how they're going to be changing everything for streaming online, that they mess up Hulu one way or another. It's not what it is anymore. And I know a lot of people who really like Hulu. So
Well, I mean, my big question is, Disney's been talking about the streaming service that they got coming. Is this going to be it?
No.
I mean, if will this new Disney-fied Hulu be the new Disney service?
No,
You-
the speculation is that they will put more Disney stuff on Hulu as like a complimentary service, as a way to kind of whet your appetite and get you interested. Oh, well, if you want the rest of the stuff from this season or the rest of the thing for this property, sign up over at Disney everything streaming, whatever it's called. Um, and but yeah, my biggest fear is if they start throwing their weight around too much. I mean, yes, it could be good for everybody, but if they start throwing their weight around too much, it could just make it bad and drive the other people out, make it not worth it. So I don't know.
Mm,
I'm interested. I'm interested to see how this shakes out because I am a dedicated Hulu fanboy.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Hulu. I mean, that's who I have for my streaming service, and I'm a Star Wars fan. So I'm also interested in the Disney streaming service.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I mean, would they try to bundle these together? So if you're a Hulu subscriber, you also get a discount on the new Disney
Oh,
service.
that's always
I
a
mean,
possibility.
I could see that happening, and and if that's the case, yeah, that makes it more intriguing for me.
Yeah,
no,
and Al-Anon points out that Disney specifically said that Disney Plus is for the kids and Hulu is for adults. I mean,
Mm,
the properties that Hulu bought, like Fox, ABC, and FX, those are already on Hulu. I mean, that's where I watch all of that content. So
sure.
that stuff's going to stay there, and that is typically adult oriented. So I don't. I assume in addition to that, there will be more Disney stuff showing up on Hulu that's not specifically broadcast TV. It's not specifically something they acquired. Um, and,
All right.
you know,
Okay, so then that poses another question. So is Star Wars for the kids or for the adults?
I believe it's going to be in the kids section. It's going to be on Disney Plus, I believe.
yeah. But I
Hmm.
mean, there's no reason that it wouldn't show up on Hulu because it gets aired on channels that are, but hey,
Yeah,
we'll see.
that's exactly what I'm worried about, though, is it stops being channels and it becomes a service. The
Hmm.
Hulu that changes that the very definition of what Hulu is changes because of the change happening at the corporate level. So I don't know. We'll see.
But that's the thing I like about Hulu right now is that there are no channels. I don't have to worry about, is it on NBC, is it on ABC, is it on Fox? I just know I watch it on Hulu.
Right.
So it's the one place amalgamation, consolidation, I guess is the right word.
Okay, so Alana may have it there. Yeah, he just put in the chat room. So probably what they'll do, they'll put Star Wars onto Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Won't be available on Hulu because they want you to subscribe for Disney Plus.
But that's what I was saying before, is there is no reason that one or two of them wouldn't show up for a limited time on Hulu as an incentive to say, oh, hey, you just watched that one? Well, you can watch all of them if you come over here. Because the Disney-centric properties are going to be on the Disney-only platform. But, I guarantee there's going to be stuff that's going to show up here and there as to kind of entice you and give you a taste, because that first taste is always free, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they still could have a bundle package if you subscribe to both, right?
Yep. I suspect that could definitely happen.
Yeah.
Hey, here's the Disney Plus for $20, and here's the Hulu for $20, and buy them both and get them for $35.
Hulu better not go up to $20. I'll be
Hulu Live.
Oh, okay.
Because that's one of the things. If they change this around, because Hulu is this big live service as well, who knows what happens to the non-live service version
now,
of it?
Hulu Live at $20, that would be a good deal, because it's, what, $35 right now?
No,
yeah,
no, it's more than that.
Is it? Okay, so I know originally it was like 35.
I've got the Hulu Live, and plus I got DVR and all there. And I've got the no commercials. Okay. Right. So so they do all that add on, and remember, they just raised the prices.
Yep.
So including tax and everything, I'm paying just a little over $50 a month now.
Which, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, isn't terrible.
No.
When you figure that's about what you were paying for cable, maybe a little bit less.
I'm paying a little less than what I used to for cable, but it's still a pretty good deal. Yeah. Because you get the regular Hulu thrown in with that, right? So that's what makes it, not too bad of a deal.
Well, absolutely. It's, what people liked about subscription TV through cable, minus the stuff that people didn't like about subscription TV through cable.
You mean the customer service?
Just everything else.
Okay.
All the hidden fees and the service charges and the secret,
and the guy was showing up between the hours of 8 a.m. and 6 p.m.
And when it's not working, you call and they'll be like, "Yeah, we get somebody out there. Next available window is in 3 months."
Or the cable box fees. And that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's So
man, these are jokes now, but not that long ago they were reality.
Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Okay. Sad thing about reality is that people on the internet are horrible. YouTube is doing something about it. In particular, they're taking some of their YouTube videos that are featuring young kids and simply disabling comments. Essentially, you've been having some problems with really nasty people putting some really nasty crap in the comment section of things designed for kids, things especially that are featuring kids in them. And it has caused them to basically pull the plug on all comments on any of these channels that are using this. Apparently, there is a small number of channels that do self-monitoring and are allowed to continue with their commenting. But for the most part, they pulled the plug until they can find a better solution to look into this problem. This is a big issue because this is just the content is becoming so fast. How do we deal with it? And people on the internet are horrible. And they're looking to possibly make an AI solution. I don't know about that. I have my own ideas, but what do you guys think of this problem and this?
So, I mean, I have a daughter that has a YouTube presence. So she has a channel. And
Ooh, go subscribe.
yeah, actually, I'll put that up later. If you subscribe, put a note while you still can that Poodle sent me. But um, I want credit, you know.
That's fine. Cool.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
But and I hadn't even really thought about this until I was reading this article, and I went, oh. While yes, I kind of agree with the just shut it down. But then I started thinking about, she's actually really engaged and and the comments, the positive comments that she gets, drives her to keep doing and gives her ideas of what she should do next. Blah blah blah. If you just eliminate that, I don't know what it's going to do. I don't know how it's going to affect her, and potentially worse than some mean thing that somebody said. Now, also, I mean, if somebody's saying something terrible, that's life. That's
Right.
something that you need to learn to deal with, especially if you're going to be in the public eye. You can't be sheltered.
Mm.
You can't. You don't want to be. There's that joke now that everybody's still hammering on because it's still, but relevant. But I mean, this whole idea of safe spaces. You're essentially creating a safe space. And yeah, I mean, if you're gonna be if you're gonna be in the public, or you're gonna you want to be someone that is known or seen, you gotta be able to deal with that, with criticism, and you gotta be able to deal with terrible, terrible things
Right.
that people can say anonymously.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, yeah, there's the dad part of me that says want to shelter my kid, but then there's also the angry realist person in me that says get tougher.
Right. Well,
Don't be a little. Never mind. I won't say
Suck
that.
it up, Buttercup.
Yes.
well, I was reading an article not too long ago saying that most of the negative comments that you see on YouTube or other venues that are similar come from two places. One is teenagers, and the other one is corporations if there's some product involved with it, right?
Mhm.
So it's either teenagers or corporations that are putting all the negative comments into those kind of things. So I mean, take that with a grain of salt of what it is, right? I mean that's what it is. So it's kids who are being smart alecks, or it's corporations trying to put bad light on some various product that somebody might be talking about, right? So I mean that's what it is, and I don't doubt that, right? I don't doubt that at all. That's where this is coming from. Um, Although that said, I too am a parent of a daughter, right? Of course, my daughter's 28 now, but um, I do agree with shutting the comments down just as a good blanket way of taking care of the problem, right? But I tend to jump over with Clyde a little bit there too. You're taking away, the life lessons that you can learn from that, and realize that, hey, all this is either just smart aleck kids, or maybe some corporation or something like that that have some other agenda, that's related to the service or product that they're trying to peddle,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if you ask me, guys, this problem has been solved. Why haven't you guys done this already? Slashdot figured this out a long time ago, when you could actually have a commenting system that you could score the comments, and literally you just set the bar for your user. Hey, I don't want to see anything that's less than a score of 5 out of 5. And then you get to see even the nasty comments that are, maybe constructive criticism, or just truth that people are just saying, even though this is nasty,
Mm-hmm.
this is real. They get filtered to the top, and you don't see all the nasty stuff that gets filtered down.
Mm.
And yeah, and Reddit and Dig and all these other companies did this before too. But why can't this happen in this form here. Why can't we have a, hey, I want to decide for myself how much of I want to
Well,
see,
and
and
that's
if
the
I'm the
thing.
kind of person I want to see all the comments, turn that dial all the way down and see all the stuff.
But the reason is because a majority of the kids that are doing this don't have people that are willing to go in and do the work. They'd rather just yell and blame rather than actually put in the time. You know, if you're just starting out and you don't have a community to do that for you, then
Mhm.
you need like your guardian or somebody that is willing to do that. But
No, you don't need to do that. That's the beautiful thing about this process is it's done by the crowd. They go in there and they see
that's what I'm
something that
saying. If you're a
yeah,
person that's posting videos but nobody's watching it, you don't have a crowd to do that for you.
but
Um,
no, I mean the comments, the people who are doing the commenting are doing this.
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is I'm talking about someone that only has like a couple followers that are just their family.
Sure.
They get attacked by somebody. They don't have a following, they don't have a community or a crowd to mark it down, and then it
Yeah,
just lives. And
Yeah.
but
that's true.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I'm just there are scenarios where that wouldn't necessarily.
Sure, I agree. That's true. Nothing's perfect.
No.
Yeah.
Perfection, something we wish we could all have.
Mhm.
Hey, Hulu and YouTube posted some numbers recently. They're continuing to grow. They're combined that they've got over 303 million subscribers. It looks like Hulu has gotten of their live service. That's not just their inexpensive just show service, but their actual live TV service has hit over 2 million. While they've also been able to YouTube TV has gotten just over 1 million. So that's a decent number of cable replacement over the internet providers as we've been going on. So that's been a huge increase over time. These two are now the leaders of the streaming services pack, and I am surprised that Hulu Live, the more expensive of the two options, is selling more for and in some ways, I mean, I don't know if it has all the same channel. I mean, it's really interesting that Hulu Live is doing better.
But
Yeah.
I mean, as Jimmy pointed out earlier,
Mhm.
Hulu Live has the benefit of the companion app being a companion app to regular Hulu.
Right.
So
Exactly.
if you're
Right.
already a Hulu subscriber, I'd say you're more predisposed to just use Hulu Live because it's an add-on to what you already have.
Exactly.
And that, I mean, that's how they tricked Jimmy into
Yeah. I mean,
joining.
you're basically getting two services with one,
Mhm.
right? Right. Because you get the video on demand, like what you're accustomed to having with the regular Hulu, and then you get the live TV and DVR subscriptions along with it. Right.
And also, I mean, YouTube can tout similar benefit, but it's different in the fact that like I have YouTube Live, so I get no commercials on YouTube.
Right.
If you're a big YouTube user,
Right.
then YouTube Live might be. I mean, because I really like a lot of the YouTube Premium shows, but that's not necessarily a big draw to people like regular Hulu is.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Cobra Kai did really good, but I can see
Nothing
people
jumped out.
signing up for premium without having to sign up for actual YouTube Live. So, yeah, I'm happy to see that competition, the free market, is working.
Yay!
To all of you doubters out there,
The system isn't broken.
no,
Not yet, at least.
the mark. If you let the market decide, you typically end up with the right stuff sticking around and the bad stuff failing. So
I have no problem with the market deciding. I have a problem with the corporations in the background making the decisions. Very few.
Yeah.
That's,
Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, if you go back and look at this, right? I mean, originally it was Netflix, right? And Netflix used to have, all the older TV shows. That's what it was noted for before it was coming out with its own original content, right?
Right.
Was all the past maybe last year's shows or older,
Mhm.
right? You go to Netflix to see that, and in Hulu you'd subscribe to that to see the current TV shows, right?
Right. I remember that.
So then if you subscribe to both of those, then you would have kind of all of it together, right? Then all of a sudden, you started having cord cutting, to where, okay, so now you want to take those two models and then add live streaming television with it. Um, then you get everything, right? So it doesn't surprise me to see Hulu be one of the leaders of that because they're one of the two cord cutting packages that you would have, which would be Netflix and Hulu,
That's
right?
fair.
So it doesn't surprise me at all to see Hulu in there among the leaders.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that it is among the leaders. It's more of a surprise that that people don't. I mean, out of all the different options, I think Hulu is probably the most expensive one. Maybe they're equating price with quality, which is a thing that people do,
Hmm.
and so maybe they're doing that and maybe deciding that they want the most expensive one because it is perhaps the highest quality, and that makes sense. Though my brain doesn't do that. Yeah, that might be the reason why. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what it is maybe they're already Hulu subscribers,
Yeah,
right? So they're already
you got
paying
those.
that, $12 or $14 a month, right, for Hulu already, so why not just pay another, 30-40 bucks for the streaming as well?
If that's what you want. Yeah,
Yep.
All right,
absolutely.
it's this very cool device that we talked about a while ago, the GBL Link Bar. It's been coming since I think last year's
It was
season.
announced back and went up for pre-sale back in August.
Okay, and was this very cool all-in-one device that's going to be set up so it'll be your sound bar, built-in nice sound bar, about $400. It's
I,
also got a built-in Android TV, and it'll also act as a Google Home device. It's kind
Mm.
of mixing, doing everything at once, and since it'll be plugged into your TV, it'll actually be a display as well.
and let me guess, everybody they're loving it
And it's been delayed again. It's
Yeah.
going to be
again.
delayed again until mid to late summer, is what they're saying, which means August. So people have been probably waiting for a year for this, and I was excited about this. And I don't know, there's
You know,
starting to be other ones out there that are doing similar things. Like LG's got a soundbar that's got half of this stuff built into it. So I don't know.
I remember this product. I remember it being cool, and I was interested in it. The only thing is the $400 price tag
Why?
was what turned me off because I don't really need a sound bar. So, eh. But yeah, this was a compelling device, and a lot of people pre-ordered it back in August because it was supposed to be out in October.
Right.
Mm.
Which is a couple month wait. That's fine. Yeah. All I have to say is this thing better be awesome.
Yeah, and or it better come out for $250.
Well, no, because I mean the people that have already paid for it,
Right.
they're going to be pissed if they that money's gone. If now they finally release it and it's a lot cheaper, they're not getting that money back. Um,
Uh, JBL might get
well,
ready.
they're not buying it directly from JBL. They bought it from like B&H and all of
Uh,
these other sites.
that's a good
But
point.
but as I was saying, it better be awesome because if something's good, the fans uh, will forgive it being late if it's awesome. If it's bad and late, there is no. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
they'll and also if it was on time and it wasn't great, they
It'd
would
be okay.
forgive that too.
Right.
But
Mhm.
you've got that Venn diagram where both sides, you can deal with it. But if you're right in that middle, if it's this late and it's not awesome,
Very
Mhm.
true.
oh, Harmon,
So so let me ask a question here. Why would you? So I don't know. I mean, I've had for years, a surround sound, right? So, take that with what I'm about to say.
Sure.
Um, why would you spend $400 for a sound bar when for maybe $200 or $300 more have a complete surround sound, home theater system,
Well,
right?
most surround sound home theater don't have the Android TV built in with Android Assistant with everything else. But also, not everybody has a space that they can run a home theater. A soundbar would work
Okay.
great in here, but I can't run like a 5 speaker sound system in my bedroom. You know,
Okay, I could see it. Okay, that's a good point, right? I think if you were doing it for a second room, right, but for the main room in your
no, I mean
house,
this is most people run a soundbar in their living room because it's
Simple.
not complicated.
Yeah.
It gives you good sound. Most of them do simulated surround.
okay,
So it's a happy medium. Uh, and not everybody's interested in all of the work that it would take. I prefer a big speaker setup, but
Mhm.
I'm like a nerd in that respect. I like
Yeah, I
I
mean
like gear.
that's
I mean, there's a
okay. Yeah,
reason.
all right, all right, all right. So
Versus me, I
you're,
don't.
you,
My TV's getting really thin,
Yeah,
which means my speakers are getting really thin, which means I would like something better than the chintzy speakers built into my TV.
yeah,
So soundbar makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
yeah, okay, all right. You guys are winning me over now. So I see what you're saying. Yeah,
There's a case for it.
us nerds, right, would want the complete
Mhm. Yeah,
surround
I mean,
sound
if you're
and that
like
kind of thing.
a
But
big
if you're
audiophile,
but if you're not one of us, right, somebody just wants a
yeah,
little better sound than just what's coming out of their television, then this is
yeah,
a good
and
solution.
now I mean,
Okay,
because
all right,
most of the sound bars on the market are pretty good,
all right.
and most of them will give you features like subwoofer,
Mhm.
simulated surround, and then also Bluetooth so you can play music directly to it from
Mhm.
your phone.
Right,
It can
right.
be wireless, HDMI pass through, and all that stuff. So,
Okay.
but someone like my mom can use it. My mom doesn't want speakers. Uh,
Uh, and I guess this might be a good option for gamers as well, maybe.
Potentially.
Yeah.
I mean, because if you
So,
look at the picture, a nice thing about them is it doesn't take up much space at all, and you
Nope.
usually
right.
just put it right below or in front of your TV, and it's just like your center channel, and
Yeah. Well, I mean, my surround sound doesn't take up that much space either,
yeah,
right?
yeah. But I mean, there's wiring and uh,
I mean, the
stuff.
subwoofer does, but but it's sitting in the floor though, right?
But it takes a little bit of knowledge to operate and get it set up, and
Yeah, you do have to,
configured, and
right.
get all
Right.
those speakers in the correct time uh, sync so that the sounds
Yeah,
sound right.
there,
And
there's a little more in the setup.
yeah,
Yeah, no,
there's
that's right.
whereas a sound bar you just plug it in and you're good to go.
Right,
So
right. Gotcha,
it,
gotcha.
it, it I'd say there's nothing is a one size fits all, but a sound bar like this is I think a step in the right direction. Where
Yeah.
you know, but
I don't know. I guess for a nerd like me, it just seems to be a
yeah.
half measure. But for somebody who's not a nerd, this would be a viable option.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I go to my studio to listen to music because I've got my 18-inch subwoofer running 2,000 watts. I can throw on some dubstep and shake the
Hmm.
whole building. It's great when you can feel your kidneys rattling. Um,
Remind me not to go over your place.
that's at the
Too
studio.
loud, man.
Well, that's a nice thing. Those low frequencies, you can't actually hear them. You
Yeah,
just
you just
feel it.
feel them.
But you can feel them. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
All right. Android TV had an interesting bug this last couple of days. It would there's a feature on Android TVs and other which you can turn on what's called an ambient display, various photos of that you own in your photo albums. I use this on some of my devices here too, and it's a pretty cool little feature. I could just say pick out some people that I wanted to see on that show up on there. So I got my family on there, and it just does a nice little photo display. Well, it looks like a bug related to the Android TV specifically, and the Google Home app would set up in a way that would allow you to accidentally, if you wanted to, it would show you many more people that are not people you know, that you are quote unquote shared accounts, and you could look at their pictures. Um, Google has since discovering that this bug exists, pulled the feature on Android TV and said, "Whoops, we're gonna fix this. But just so you know, if you have an Android TV and either A, you are worried about sharing your photos with random people, or B, why did that feature disappear? Um, Bad privacy problem that Google screwed up on somehow or another. So
Okay.
just
Hey,
think of fix.
hey, Google, show me your nudies.
Okay, this is a lesson that apparently we have to keep relearning. It is never, ever, ever a good idea to let these screensaver things just auto show pictures. If you want to set up a dedicated folder, sure, great. But never, ever let it just have free reign, because you have no control. There's a guy out there that's in prison right now because of that. And I've told that story before when I worked at CompUSA, because his computer started showing stuff on the screensaver that I don't think he wanted anybody to know was there. And
My
yeah.
advice is just don't have those pictures. Period.
Oh no, absolutely. But I mean, but in this case, you said, yeah, just show whatever, and it was showing you other people's stuff.
It showed up. What happened is the guy would be able to go through this home app on his phone,
Oh, okay.
and he was able to browse through his own things.
Oh.
And as he kept on browsing, he also started to see other people's things, and there might be related to the idea of people having the same model of television as him. He wasn't certain of why, and nobody, maybe Google's figured out by now, but there was a reason why on the Android TV, other people's shared items was also showing up inside the app. So it's not something you could just kind of bump into normally. You'd have to know what you're doing and or being specifically inside your Google Home app on your phone to get there. But it's still a bug, and still somebody else's pictures on your TV. So, which means it could be your pictures on somebody else's TVs. Which, turn off the feature and fix the problem. Good job, Google. I say ironically.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Google creeps you out. If Google creeps you out, I'm so sorry about everybody else. Like, hey, let's talk about the new Alexa skill that lets you control your Roku TV. That's right. You can now use your Alexa to say various things like, hey, who would you please turn on this show on the Roku? And this is a skill that's very similar to the one that has been available for Google for a little while. The Google Home's had a similar feature. But this now allows you to set up your Amazon Echo device to control your single Roku device that you own.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. Roku, and I commend Roku because they've been going out of their way to be open to anybody that wants to develop for their platform. And also, I will say, good on you, Amazon, for taking them up on the offer. So yeah, awesome. I don't think I'll use it, but there are plenty of Amazon Echo users out there that also have Rokus. So to them, this may be awesome.
So I don't use the control your TV with your voice thing very often, but I do use it for one very specific reason. I do walk into our game room where the NVIDIA Shield is, and I tell Google to turn off the Shield, and it will turn off the Shield, and it will turn off the TV too, because it's able to control the power of the TV. So that's so much easier than finding the remote when my son is sprawled it across somewhere underneath all the things that I just can't find. I could just tell it to do that job for me. So I'm all for giving us the power to turn off the power.
That's how I turn my show light on and off every episode. I have learned to embrace my Google Home, and
oh, I've more than embraced it. I have spread it far and wide. Every room in my house has a Google Home except for the guest room. At request of guests.
You don't want to broadcast to them in the morning?
No, I would love to, and I would happily put it in the room and have the mute button on and all that, so they could at least hear
just
things.
Just put it in the room so they don't know it's there.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hide it
and
under
then
the
you
bed.
Just start broadcasting at them. No, I was just say put it on the dresser behind the TV, or
I don't have a TV.
just stick it to the back of the TV.
No, it's just no TV in the guest room. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, apparently you need to put a TV in the guest room, and then attach a Google Home to it.
okay,
There you go.
get right on it. Another Amazon story. Your Echo device now has the ability to announce what the artist and song name is of every song it's playing as it's going along. It's a feature you could turn on, which will allow you to just pop up and tell you that, oh, this song by this artist is currently playing. Which apparently, according to Amazon, is going to cut down on hundreds of thousands of music questions Alexa hears every day. So, in other words, they're concerned about people asking what song is playing. Really?
Well, I mean, you got to remember, it doesn't matter how innocuous or dumb the question is. Every question takes processing power, and if they're getting inundated by the similar request from thousands of people, it makes sense that, hey, we'll just, why don't we just tell you what this is so that you don't have to ask us? And somewhere, some guy in a dark basement is rejoicing because his CPU process is
Oh, slightly
back to normal, or the log file isn't constantly overwriting itself because they're out of buffer.
Mhm.
I kid, but this is actually a cool feature. If you want to turn this on,
If you want it on,
I think that this is an awesome option, and and Google Home and everybody else should do this too. I feel as an option. I think this is cool.
Yeah, but the thing the thing that would bug me is that it's on by default and you can
Oh.
turn it off. It said that you can turn it off if you want, not you can turn it on if you want.
Oh, no. This should be off by default. Maybe by the way, we can tell you the voice, a little prompt of you can have this option if you want somewhere, but otherwise, no, this should be off.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear the fact that
I
you're
assume, and it's one of those things where, we're reading this article.
Mhm.
So we know about it now.
yes.
The people that are interested in this are paying attention or are hearing about it. But the everyday mom and dad out there that aren't tech savvy, if it's not on by default, they'll never know about it and they'll never know to turn it on. Which is why I believe it's going to be on by default at first. And then you go, ooh, hey, I like this, or ooh, I hate this. How do I turn it off?
I wonder if this means we can make Alexa swear now with some really nasty title names. Okay.
Oh, now you gotta put in some NWA or no, play some Steel Panther and see what it'll.
I have to admit, this feature is a little confusing to me because I mean, if this is your playlist,
It's not a
that
playlist.
you're playing.
So what it is like, let's say you're subscribed to Amazon Music and it's just playing a playlist that it created for you. People don't necessarily know who that artist, or they say, hey, I like this. What is this? And so people are constantly asking who sings this song or what is the name of this song? Because maybe you know it's Adele, but you don't know the name of the song.
Okay.
So now it's basically going to play DJ when you're listening to their music service and say
Okay, so they're just saying
ahead of time.
announce that all the time, as opposed to
If
somebody
it's
just
on, when the song starts, it'll say, here's Adele with whatever that big Adele hit was.
Yeah, well, see, I would prefer to just whenever I ask, not just.
Well, no, you
automatically.
can. That's the point. Is you can turn it off, but there are people that are going to like this, and they're doing it just to cut down on the questions because they're getting inundated with questions about who is this.
But if
I'm
it's
sorry.
something they're curating for you, and you don't know any song, and you have to
Most
have
of the
it
stuff-
every song, then that's not really a good curation.
No,
of the
no,
song.
no. Actually, it is because especially if you're interested in discovery, because 90% of the stuff that I listen to on Spotify, I never heard of these bands until Spotify said, hey, based on what you listen to, you'll like this band, and it'll play a song for me. So like the playlist that I
Okay.
listened to yesterday was 150 songs by bands that I've never heard of.
Maybe when I'm in the mood for discovery, but if I
Yeah.
want to listen to my favorite songs, I don't want this on.
Yeah. And I agree. And like I said, it's not for everybody, but there's a lot of people out there that are listening to stuff and then they don't know, it's
This,
just playing the music. And
in other words, this would fill a niche, but not for everyday listening.
but I mean, there are tens of thousands of this requests every day. So there's a lot of people that will benefit from this.
Yeah, that's true. Sonos has their Sonos One speaker that they came out with a couple of years ago. Looks like that they've decided that they're going to be coming out with a new version of the speaker. It's going to be, it's going to look exactly the same on the outside and have most of the same features. A couple new things that are going to be available in the new version is Bluetooth LE as a support, and also it looks like this version will be supporting Apple's AirPlay 2 support. Versus the first one, which its internal guts were not really powerful enough in order to do that. So,
This is great for the Sonos people
right.
people that like Sonos. This is not really that great for someone that's in the market to buy a Sonos because it specifically, I mean, Sonos didn't want to comment on whether or not there is a way to differentiate the two. So, I mean, other than right now, other than the price is the only way to tell the difference between Generation 1 and Generation 2, which sometimes can be fine. I mean, look at the, several versions of the iPhone that were very similar, minus little things. But if you're shelling out money and then you find out that it doesn't have the features, it can't even support the features of the new version, you somehow mistakenly bought the Generation 1 because they look identical, that is bad. That is bad. There needs to be a way to physically differentiate the two, in my opinion.
So what would you recommend? A different name?
No. I mean, like something like put a line, like a colored line around the edge on one of them. Just a way to, when you're looking at them, a way to physically identify, or even put right on it Generation 2, Sonos 1. If right
even
now,
if it's on the bottom label, you turn it upside down, it'll say Gen 2 on it.
If you look at it, if it says Gen 2, but it sounds like, and nobody knows for sure, but it sounds like at the moment, the only way to really know is the price difference. But if you're not savvy enough, you might say, oh, is this the new Sonos? Oh, it's good price because it's being marked down.
The old one's on discount now.
This could be a marketing opportunity, right? They could take Clyde's advice, put it on the on the bottom, right, and say, "Hey, Gen 2 made you look."
Yeah, absolutely. Do it.
That's hilarious. So AT&T recently they just got approval to buy Warner Media. That means that basically they've now taken over a whole bunch of different companies, but specifically most people are worried about the fact that they now own all of HBO. And they've decided they're going to be doing some major changes to the company, including sending home the CEO of HBO. Warner Media is going to be headed by new people. They're moving around a lot of the various products. They're talking about possibly taking things like Game of Thrones and bringing it into TVS and things like that. I've heard a lot of people saying that this might be the basically stripping down of HBO of what it is now and turning it into, and basically having it lose everything that it's what it's grown and been up and has basically earned a reputation for being a premium quality service. And people are thinking that AT&T is going to take that and after stripping of it its value, throwing it away.
I don't believe that, personally. Because right now, HBO doesn't really have much to watch, in my opinion. I mean, you have Game of Thrones, which has been off the air for over a year. It's been
And the
what,
last season.
almost 2 years since the last season. Um, and you're coming up to the final season of Game of Thrones. You know, have been shouting about, how dare you put Game of Thrones on TBS? Well, you're ramping up to the final season.
Right.
If people aren't gonna like subscribe to HBO to catch up,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to drive eyes in for that final season, damn straight start putting that stuff on another channel. I mean, obviously, it would have to be heavily edited
Yeah,
in
I would
parts.
almost.
And then also, I mean, that hey, you want the uncut version? Subscribe to HBO. Pretty much all of these properties that everybody's like complaining about are either ending now or ended a long time ago. Because who cares if The Sopranos is on TBS or TNT or whatever? You know, big deal. That show's like almost 20 years old. Um, but yeah, and also, I mean, layoffs they're going to happen. I mean, that's what happens when a company buys another company. You get rid of redundancies and you make changes where you think that that's if anybody is surprised by this, it's a what world have you been living in? Whether or not it's good, that's up to the company to decide. And if it ends up ultimately being bad, I mean, you don't have to pay your money. If you want to take your money and go home, do it. But I think their goal is to make something that's compelling to people that are currently not subscribers, currently not,
Right.
users, something that can get more eyes than they currently have. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how this shakes out.
Okay, so this idea of Game of Thrones being put on TVS, and obviously there would have to be some serious editing for that to happen because um, there's a lot of not normal cable television stuff that is on there for a broadcast channel like TBS or a TNT should be on there. Uh, Part of me actually would be okay with that because I watched only the first season of Game of Thrones and I was enthralled by it and like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool show. But it wasn't because of any of the sexy scenes, quite frankly. It was because it was a lot of intrigue and a lot of cool things happening.
Yeah.
And so I actually would probably enjoy that. I understand later seasons it actually got a little less risque, and so a little bit still happens, but not as much.
Yeah,
So,
they it got less HBO and more compelling.
oh, okay. So, yeah, part of me is like, go for it. I'd be interested, so I'd watch more of the seasons because also I don't know if I think I might enjoy that. I don't know. So.
Yeah. I mean, HBO has, in my opinion, outside of Game of Thrones, has kind of been on the decline a little bit.
Mhm.
I mean, I was a HBO subscriber, and maybe about 6 or 7 months ago, I decided to cancel, right? Until Game of Thrones comes back out again, of course, right? And then I'll subscribe again and watch the final season. No doubt about that. Uh, but until they come up with another Game of Thrones or some other compelling reason to subscribe, then I probably won't subscribe, right? Now, before 6 or 7 months ago when I canceled, I subscribed to HBO and I was a subscriber all the time. And because there was quite a few shows there that I would like and would watch, all the time. But yeah, now, fast forward to today, outside of Game of Thrones, yeah, it's a little bit on the decline. I really don't find too much compelling content there outside of Game of Thrones, right? So they need to revamp their content, I think. Yeah, I think maybe they're sitting there trying to figure it out, and maybe because AT&T has bought them, and and all the executives of AT&T are sitting there just trying to decide on what's going to be the next move here. Um, Maybe that's it, but yeah, they just need to focus a bit more on content because right now currently, yeah, I mean outside of Game of Thrones, that's about it.
I agree. The content, the always come out with amazing new shows all the time. People
Hmm.
were always at least one show that was everybody wanted to see, from Sopranos to The Wire to all these other shows. It seems
Right.
like that's kind of gone away, which is
Well, but
sad.
also, I mean, if you look back in your mind's eye, there's all these great shows from HBO, but then if you
Hmm.
actually look at them in timeline,
There were always
there
a
was
lot of big
really
gaps.
like one, maybe two shows at any given time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, right now you've got uh, Game of Thrones and Westworld, and um,
Okay.
season two.
Sounds
I
a little
was so
scary.
excited for season two of Westworld, and I got like maybe two episodes in, and I rage quit. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, there's other stuff like but most of the good stuff has either been finished or is dying. Like I don't know if I could watch another season of Silicon Valley. They they kind of driven that story into the ground.
Well, I mean, Boardwalk Empire was a good
Oh
one.
yeah, it was great, and it's
Uh,
done. It's been done for like
right.
10 years. Um, I
Well,
don't know.
not 10 years.
It was 2008, wasn't it?
No,
Oh, okay.
Boardwalk Empire. No,
Yeah,
it just finished up.
or well, it was like 5 years ago. They Because I remember I
Was
watched the
it
final season
five? Was
when
it?
I moved here.
Was
So
that
I don't know.
right? Was it 5 years? I
I
don't
want to
know.
say
Maybe,
maybe five
maybe,
years, maybe, but
maybe it
still,
was
it's
5 years.
been done for a while. Um,
I was thinking 3 or 4 years, but okay, maybe it was.
maybe yeah, it's in there someplace.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think you've got the uh, emotional reaction, knee jerk, going on in the community, and just like a lot of things, I'm willing to bet most of the people that are screaming about this aren't even subscribers, aren't even people that
Yeah.
actually use the service. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see how it shakes out.
Yeah. Me as well.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of the news. And that
It does.
brings us to my favorite part of the show, where we
Mm.
like to thank our most dedicated fans, the people that support the show with not only the love in their hearts, but that hold
Oh.
hard cash from their wallets.
Oh.
Yes, I am talking about our patrons, those amazing folks that took it upon themselves to support us each and every month. And in return, we want to give a little something back. So, we set up the Discord where they have special privileges to submit suggestions, feedback, whatever. And also, there's the custom RSS feeds for the audio stream. That's currently one of the easiest and ways to get this show if you want it in audio format, so you can listen to me rant incessantly about inane topics on your way to work. You can. The patrons, they get their custom RSS feed. It couldn't be any easier than every week. It just auto downloads our dulcet tones right into your ears via your favorite pod catcher.
If you whisper really quiet, we can have an ASMR moment.
I don't understand what ASMR is still. Maybe someone can explain that to me after. But yeah, so if you're not currently a patron and you find value in this show and would like to contribute, would like to support us, that's patreon.com/the VOD Squad. And then Pathway put the link there in the chat. So thank you.
Here's to the Patreons.
All right. This is the point also where we would throw it to Big Voice Jay, but we're in between seasons, and we don't have a movie draft to talk about.
Not yet. We have one coming up. If you
Ooh.
want to watch a movie draft being happening live this weekend, we're going to be a part of the party where everybody's going to get together and
We're gonna
make their
duke it
picks for
out.
the various movies, and we can duke it out on all the movies that we want to get ourselves for this new summer edition of the Diamond Club Stream Team Movie Draft, which is pretty cool. There's a link to that somewhere. But,
I just heard Jimmy's Discord ding.
Yeah.
I know
I heard
because
my
I
own
sent
ding.
him a message. Yeah, so this Saturday, March 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing the movie draft live on W Scottus One's page, on the game night page. So that'll be twitch.tv/W Scottus One, which I think I was recently informed it's actually W Scott is one.
Oh,
I always just read
really?
it as W Scottus. Yeah, that makes sense. So W Scott is one, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. Even if you're not playing along, just to hear the witty and sometimes angry banter between people that would otherwise be could be considered as friends, but they're pitted on opposite sides of the table against each other. So yeah, looking forward to it. And then next week we should have our very first movie draft update for summer 2019, because much like last year, we have a movie coming out before the draft.
That's
And
right.
it's, I think, an important movie for the draft. So how it does on Thursday and Friday could make or break that movie, Captain Marvel, in our draft.
That's true. We could see some people changing to their numbers because they're like thinking that movie either is doing very well or very poorly based on what they thought before. So that's kind of cool. And right now, you can go and see what the Diamond Club has done with their draft. They've gotten went ahead and did their draft this Thursday, I think.
It was yesterday,
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
It was Tuesday. And so you can go to draft.diamondclub.tv and see what they did for their voting. So
What's
we're gonna.
okay?
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing.
I don't know. What was I gonna do?
Oh no, I was finishing what you were saying.
I was going to say that they have a new interface which looks pretty darn slick. I miss having my graphs. I don't know what's going to happen with.
I don't know if
our
I like
interface.
it. I went
You don't
there
know
and
if
I
you
was
like it?
super confused. But
So
I don't know.
it's an interesting clean page. It's clean. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
It's very clean and it loads very quickly. So they've got that down pretty nice. But there's
That's
also a link on
draft.diamondclub.com, or is it net?
.tv. .tv. Yep, draft.diamondclub.tv.
Okay. All right.
But there's a link there to the older interface as well. So
I was laughing a little bit because I intentionally didn't listen. I haven't listened to that draft yet. Partly because it was last night and I'm catching up on other podcasts. But and I made sure that I went in and I picked my movies in the Chat Realm League before I figured out who picked what. And apparently, I picked the same exact slate as John Trekker, who is now two-time winner, right?
Yep.
But I thought it was funny that it exactly the same three movies for a perfect $100, and I went and I looked and I said, "Oh, I wonder who owns these movies," and I went, "John Trekker, John Trekker." Oh, I chose the John Trekker slate, so.
Looks interesting. So, I see. I just looked up what you chose. Very interesting choices, sir.
Yeah, and I think it's a good spread. Tap into all three, or a little bit of everything, but yeah. I am excited for this weekend, and it's gonna be it's gonna be interesting to try and work the schedule to be there, but I will be there. So,
Very cool.
all right. Well, why don't we do the thing that we forgot to do last week with some rants
Oh.
and raves? All right. What do you guys got? Rant, rave? Anybody? Nothing?
Yeah. Well, I'll mention something. So, typically when we do these, I talk about what I'm watching and that kind of thing. And so I started watching the Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
I'm sorry.
And I have to say, yeah, it's pretty terrible.
Oh.
Is it
It's
like Heroes post writer's strike when it was just
Yeah, it's kind of that bad.
not salvageable?
Right, right. I mean, and the thing that frustrates me is that the premise
Mm-hmm.
of the story is good,
Mm-hmm.
right? I like the premise, right? But the execution is just, or I mean, they kind of, I don't know, the season that they
Just
put out
kind of
there,
dropped the ball.
that would have been like a good final season of stuff they could have done well before all that, right? And if they had started from the beginning, and when it first started out, you know you thought, oh, okay, this is going to be, maybe this has got potential here, for the first maybe 30-40 minutes of the first episode, right?
Yeah.
But then it fast forward way, past a lot of timeline there and everything, and then it gets into this weird kind of plot. I don't want to give too much away, of course,
Yeah.
but it gets into what the plot is for this season, and I just I mean, and I want to like it. I really want to like it, and I keep watching it. I think I'm in like about the fourth, maybe fifth episode, which is probably even more than what I should be watching it, right? But um, and maybe I'll watch it. Watch the whole first season. I don't know, maybe, but but yeah, I mean, I gotta say, big disappointment, right, for me, right? Yeah, it just, yeah, when I first saw it and saw what it was about, or saw the trailer, I was like, oh, okay, this looked interesting, and I was like, all right, here we go, off we go on a new adventure here, and yeah, just kind of disappointed on the whole thing.
Yeah, Al-Anon says that if you like the premise, you might want to check out the comic. He's heard good things about the comic that it's based off of.
Right.
So yeah, maybe they just made bad decisions in the adaptation, which unfortunately is pretty common. I feel kind of the same way. There's a show on Sci-Fi right now called Deadly Class. This is basically about a school for assassins. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't think it's as bad, but it's kind of difficult to watch sometimes. And I want it to be good so much.
Yeah.
And
Same thing with this show. I mean, I want it to be good, and I just can't. I don't know. I keep hoping that if I keep watching, and maybe at the end of this season, maybe there'll be some sort of salvation at the end, right? But
you
I don't. I don't know. I mean, it's just rough getting through these episodes.
you
So
just described every Marvel on Netflix show, from my opinion. Is I wanted to like them so much, and I just can't get through them. And
you
finally
didn't
just
like
gave up.
you didn't like Daredevil?
First season was okay, but then second season didn't get better. I
Oh,
wasn't for me.
I love Daredevil.
That's fine. I'm
Daredevil
not
is
saying
great.
you shouldn't.
And I have to, in speaking of those episodes, I mean, we might as well, right? Mike's not here. And then, um, But yeah, I really enjoyed most of those episodes. I enjoyed the first season of Luke Cage. I enjoyed Jessica Jones. I enjoyed Punisher. And of course I enjoyed Daredevil most of all. But the Iron Fist was another one of those that, I wanted to like it, got about maybe halfway through all the episodes, and is like, man, and I just couldn't finish it.
You're
I
not
just
alone in that
it
opinion. A
didn't.
lot of people feel that way about
And
that show.
ironically, that's the one that I think was the strongest in my opinion. I still couldn't get through it, but I didn't dislike it as much as I disliked the other ones.
And they made the Defenders, where they brought
I
the
yeah,
all of them together, right?
I
I
tried watching
loved the Defenders. Defenders was great. Even Iron Fist and the Defenders, I thought was great, right? I really like. I wish they would make a Defenders second season, right? I'd be all in on that one, right? But yeah.
maybe they'll make one about when they're like in their 70s, and they'll call it the Dependers.
Ooh. Oh.
Hey, that's not funny. I'm pretty close to that, right?
All right.
That should be a show title. Somebody
Matt?
do that fast. Hey guys, I've been most of my time when I have some spare time this recently has been playing Anthem. It's been a wonderful, wonderful game as far as I'm concerned. I know it's had bugs. I know it's been a rocky start. I realize that I'm basically beta testing this game for this company. But I'm having a blast. And I know not everybody else is. But if you wanted to play in your Iron Man suit and you wanted to play a game, it's a shoot and loot game. This game really is beautiful, lots of fun. I love being able to just be a monstrous thing that just calls down lightning from the sky to destroy things in my little Iron Man suit. It's just awesome. So I am totally having a blast in it. The other thing that we did this was we watched a new show that's coming out. It's called Whiskey Cavalier.
Cavalier.
Cavalier, excuse me. We only saw the first episode. I think only the first episode's out, and so I think it's coming out on ABC every week. Dang, that show. If it can keep up the same pace and kind of sense of humor as this show was, as this show was able, this first pilot episode was able to keep, if they're able to keep up that kind of pace through the whole season, that show is going to be awesome. I really recommend it.
So let me ask you, I saw stuff for it, but I couldn't figure out what the show was supposed to be. Is it a comedy, or is it like, I expected it to be another like 24. I'm like this super government person that's going to save the world, but serious.
So you got the guy. He's the FBI agent. He
Uh-huh.
is all by the book. That's
Uh-huh.
his job. He does things exactly the same way. He's, I forget what movie. There was a guy who's like boring as but he's the by the book guy, and that's all he does. And he's the FBI guy. He happens to get tied up in this thing where he's supposed to retrieve a person for the FBI, and somebody from the CIA is there. And she loves bending the rules and breaking the rules and doing things like
So it's like a Mulder Scully kind of thing,
sort of, and
or a Bones and
yeah. So it's got that kind of dynamic of two people who really are diametrically disposed to. They're not going to work well together, forced to work together in a way, and they do funny jabs at each other. But then there's awesome action sequences. I mean, the action it's television. It's ABC style action. Bones to Bach.
No, wrong show.
But it is definitely got that kind of feeling in it, and it's got this kind of way of it's got this action sequence style of something awesome happens. It does the whole camera angle, the extreme camera angle thing. But it doesn't like super dwell on it, but it does a really good job. I mean, it introduces the show in a way you're like, really, and then it's able to. I mean, we both, me and my wife, were out. We think shows are funny. Haha, that was funny. That show got us to bust out laughing several times through the first episode. We're like, well, that's hilarious. So I'm all for people trying it, and I'm gonna keep watching it, and I'm gonna
I'll
see if
check it
it's
out
worth it. Yeah, you
because
should try it.
that sounds a lot like that was the whole reason I ended up getting into the show Booth. I mean, Booth. Booth was the character. Bones. Um,
Booth.
Booth. No, the show Bones because the interaction between Bones and Booth. Because it looked like another CSI procedural, blah blah blah. But it was the silliness and the between the characters
so
that made it interesting.
so this first episode is really an excellent this pilot, which kind of introduces the characters, and they really kind of wrap it into and this is what it's going to be like from this point on. Kind of at the ending of it, just kind of present you with this package of, and here you go. This is what
Can
you're getting. Kind
can
of
I
the end
give
there.
you a season 5 or 6 spoiler
Of what?
of that show that you're
Oh,
describing?
they're gonna fall in love.
They're gonna get married.
Duh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah. Sorry. I don't
Hopefully
care.
that works out. But rock on. Yeah, I'll check it out. I've been kind of avoiding it, but it's also the same reason I was avoiding Lethal Weapon, and
Right.
I ended up really enjoying it. And then they replaced a character.
Yeah. I did.
And
I dropped it right at that
oh
point. It's
no,
like,
actually, Sean William Scott.
yeah.
It took me. I wasn't sure about him, but I am really liking his character. I like what they're doing with it, so I recommend go back, give it a couple episodes, especially since they brought in Maggie from Psych as another character because she's the ex girlfriend of Sean William Scott's character. She's a nurse, so they work her into the story a lot, and yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not my rant or my rave.
What's up?
I
What's up, Jimmy? Jimmy's got a question.
yeah.
No, I just realized. So I was looking up the show, and I was looking at the trailer, and I noticed I guess the lead actress in there, and I was like, oh man, she looks familiar. And then I look in there and see that, oh yeah, she's Maggie from The Walking Dead,
Oh.
that plays in that show, right?
Lauren Cohen.
Yeah, Lauren
Okay.
Cohen is
Oh, I
who it is.
remember
Yeah.
her. Yeah, she was
Yeah,
in love with the Asian dude.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
Maggie from The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I knew she looked familiar when I saw it, and I was like, okay, where have I seen her before, right? And yeah, she's I think, isn't she British?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think so.
My only
I think she is.
criticism right off the bat is that FBI and CIA could never work together because CIA is not allowed to operate in the U.S. FBI is not allowed to operate outside the U.S. So
Yeah. They tried
right
to
there is
address
a
that.
problem.
They tried to address that.
Or maybe she's not British. It looks like she was born in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's British enough.
Yeah.
That was one of the original colonies.
No, okay. You know what? It was the other main character in Walking Dead. He was British.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
The governor.
No, not the governor. Rick. Rick
I'm kidding.
was British. Yeah.
All right. So before we wrap this up, I just wanted to say a couple things.
Okay.
Number one, about a year ago, I found on YouTube Red a show called Ryan Hansen Solves Crimes on TV, and I raved about it. It is hilarious. It is very meta. Because if you don't know who Ryan Hansen is, you go out and find out, and you'll realize, oh, that guy. He's been in a lot of stuff. Apparently, it's back for season 2.
Yay!
And in the show, they keep harping on the fact that how is there a season 2? Which I absolutely love. The self-deprecating humor. So that's back. But big news on Showtime. Billions is back next week, or is it this week? Or it's coming back soon.
Oh,
It's coming back. Maybe it's March 17th or May 7th. I think it's March 17th.
time to renew my subscription to Showtime.
Exactly. And I want to make an announcement to Showtime. You can stop advertising about SMILF. I will never come back to that show after that horrible horrible prank you pulled on everybody by tricking us into watching a Rosie O'Donnell sex scene. That is unforgivable. And whoever greenlit that should be burnt alive, as everybody did with their eyes. But in the meantime, waiting for Billions, there's a new show called Black Monday. Have you guys heard about this?
Have not.
So it's essentially, it's a, every so many years, people like to jump back on the bandwagon of stuff about 1980s Wall Street traders.
Mm-hmm.
This is about it's leading up to Black Monday, which was the biggest stock market crash in history. Monday in 1987. So this story is leading up to that. It starts with the crash and then goes back. It is very funny. Don Cheadle is the lead role. There's a lot of people in it that you'll recognize. It is very, if you like Wolf of Wall Street, or kind of, it's got kind of that vibe. There's nostalgia. They're definitely hammering on specific plot points just to set the tone. But if you're signing back up for Showtime to watch Billions, check out Black Monday. I started it just because, and I am so glad I burned through like 6 episodes. I mean, Showtime's pretty much known for like half-hour series, so easy to watch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, with that, I think we should probably wrap this up. This is the point where we like to remind those of you that are watching after the fact or are just now finding us. We do this live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central here on Twitch. Patrons get a RSS feed to download the audio version if you'd rather listen to it after the fact. That's how I consume all of my podcasts. So I understand. And then, we will join us for the movie draft, the stream team movie draft. I guess it's not B team anymore. Stream team, which we'll talk about that after the fact. Thank everybody for hanging out. If you're here live, head on over to tvs.showbot.tv to vote for titles. In the after show, we will pick a winner. And until next time, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.